Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate y'all taking your time to spend an hour with us and to learn about what's going on with Convention of States. We've got our regional director Deanna and also our assistant director Laura, and they're gonna visit with us for the majority of the evening about the six states that are close to passing, what the status is, and in each one of them, and then what it actually takes to get a past state. Some of the trials, tribulations, some of the time and effort, and how long it actually takes to get this accomplished. So with that said, I will turn it over to Deanna and Laura.
Awesome. Laura, do you have anything to kick us off with, or would you like me to kick us off with something?
The only thing I have to kick us off with is you have no idea how happy I feel to be on this call with these people again. I have missed this so much. Colorado is the most awesome team, and it is just, I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are a lot of fun to meet with. You were the first kind of group that I got to join for your state strategy right after our Nebraska um, regional summit. And speaking of, we've already sent some tentative dates. Laura's not wrapping up, but getting some bids in and some venues going. So put it on your calendar, June 18, 19, and 20, with Mark joining us right now on the 18th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we're eyeing Bozeman, Montana. So I know it's not central for our region, but at least it's western. And you guys probably all get to stare at the mountains most of the time, but we don't. So it's exciting. We wanted to put it in a mountainous place. And I know um, the stack of states that Laura kind of oversees and supports is Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado. So this will be part of her focus next year because, as you probably know, Wyoming, Montana don't have session this year, or an official session. Wyoming does have a budget session, but the other two don't. So there'll be some action going on up there. We'll be happy to do that. Frank wanted us, well, I mentioned it and we kind of discussed it quite a few times, having us come on just to um, remind you of a few things. And sometimes in different leadership things that I've been involved in, and I'll go to a meeting and I'll hear something and I'll write down a note. Go to another meeting 3 months later, write down the note. Go to another meeting, write down a note, and then I'll compare all notes, and it's the same stinking note. But it isn't till that third or fourth time from some other voice that it finally kicks in and it triggers and it goes, ah. And so maybe it's my voice that needs to trigger your aha, or what I call kick in the pants. Sometimes it requires that. But I know there was something that we talked about, Laura, that I said, if I forget to mention it, make sure you tell the story. So whenever that comes up, make sure you kick me in the pants and remind me of that. But one of the things I know, you had a few things mentioned, Frank, but also we also wanted to recognize the importance of action reports and what the meaning is behind it. And I think that's where your story comes in, Laura, if I remember right. But so before we kind of dig into kind of an update around the region, the states that are closest to passing, and what it takes to pass, and I'll just kind of tell you some history behind Kansas and South Dakota. I think there was another one in there as well. But the action reports and the importance of that is, let me back up. When I was a district captain, and Shirley Meyer, my state director, would always remind me, anything you do, any legislators you talk to, any meetings that you hold, any people that you talk to, any fairs and events that you do, that you have petitions that are signing, make sure you log in or put it on your app and log it in. And I never really understood the importance of it. I thought, just put me on the ground. I think we need to mute somebody. Just put me on the ground And, let me just talk to people. Let me get the petition signed. Just put me on the ground. I don't want to report anything. Well, now I understand the importance of the action reports. And it is, first and foremost, it tracks your activity for your state leaders to see where the action is coming from. If we see an influx of petitions, we're like, where's this coming from? And we can look back and go, oh, Vivian did an event, or Vivian put a Facebook post out and she logged it. And we can attribute some of that to hers, especially if it's not, her special link. Another reason that it's important is Colorado is a state that has a lot of wealthy people. We have a lot of donors in the state of Colorado. So this is second most. Well, it's not second most, but one of the second things. And our external relations department, where I started, I worked for about a year in external relations. We were always looking to the regional directors, to the regions, to our grassroots for items and nuggets and data to report to our donors. So when we would ask, like I would ask Grant at that particular time, he was your regional director. I said, hey, what's going on in Colorado? Who's making waves? What's our petition count like? How many people are active? Because our donors want to know what's happening on the ground. And when they see more action, more activity, and it's not necessarily you have to do more, but when they see the stuff that you're doing, they see the reports that you're putting in and showing that you are on the ground, talking to legislators, any specifics like that, this gives donors just a shining beacon, and they're able to cut bigger checks. There's more people that want to come on, and that means there's more money that's allocated to Colorado as well for those events. So when we want to do a double booth at the state fair, that has a lot to do with it. Is all right. Are we going to see that return on investment? Those of you that are in corporate or know those terminology, we want the ROI. And if it's not there, we can't do it. So that's a big important factor is where we can allocate more funds for Colorado. But I think the biggest one is as a past volunteer is legislators. Rita will get a message from a legislator. I mean, I'm sure she gets messages all day long from legislators, but she'll get a message from a Colorado legislator saying, how many petitions do I have in my district? And, who has, been the most active, or what other items that legislators will ask, Laura? I'm just blanking right there. But they will request information on what's going on in Colorado for Convention of States. And Rita's able to pull up the reports, pull up the data, and give a report to the legislator. And it may flip their vote towards us if they see that the grassroots are really active. And I thought you had a story in the back of your mind there regarding that, Laura. Am I right?
Well, actually, I was going to come with legislator relationships, and it's a story
Okay.
about Julie. But,
Okay.
I just wanted to add to that. And I know nobody here does this for accolades and for recognition. I know everybody is here because they have a passion. They believe in the mission, and that is awesome. And it's rewarding in itself. But it's nice to be able to show Mark and show the executive staff, hey, look at what my team is doing. Look how many phone calls Sharon on the Telepatriot mission made this month, and look how many events the veterans have done. And we don't necessarily always remember that. So when we can go back and find those reports and see what everybody's been doing, it's really nice to pass that information up the ladder and let people who don't look at those reports see what everyone's been doing. It's just nice to do. We want to recognize you because as you know, you're it. Grassroots is what makes this organization, and we want to make sure that you are getting the recognition that you deserve.
Absolutely. I think that's all I had to cover on the action reports. Was there anything else, Frank, that you wanted us to touch on? I thought we covered what we kind of discussed once before.
Nope, nope, we covered it. That's perfect. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And then Frank wanted us to bring you just some background on some of the states that are coming up. And I know you guys are facing heavy blue again. Hopefully this upcoming election season, we'll see some movement in the purple region. And I know the work that you all are doing on the ground, even as constituents being involved in your own personal legislators' races or your city hall races, your county commissioner races, whatever it is, that is truly important. And unfortunately, Colorado has some seriously limiting rules where that doesn't allow COS to be directly involved in elections and even to be or have, sorry, just making sure I wasn't, okay, got it. Frank's bringing up my map and I'm like, I lost everybody. So elections are hard to be involved in as an organization for Colorado. But that doesn't mean that you cannot individually call each other and get on the ground for specific legislators and be involved as constituents. So you can go door to door knocking on your legislator's door, just not with COS gear on. What you discuss at the door, just don't let me know. But typically, I have to tell you, no COS gear and no handing out COS information. But like I said, whatever you discuss at the door is completely up to you. But we always encourage you to get involved at your constituent level, as a voter of your district. So with that, just a little bit of history. I know Frank always tells you that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And what we see and what I really have to explain, even when we meet nationally, and I mentioned just a little bit today on our call with South Dakota. For those of you that are new, that maybe have been in just a couple of years, and you're seeing the fruit being picked from years and years and years of cultivating the soil, of planting the seed, of a little bit of harvest, of cultivating the soil, of planting the seed, of fertilizing, of pulling up the weeds and pulling up the weeds and pulling up the weeds. And you're going to see some fruit this year. You probably already have heard Mark discuss our success in victory that's coming.
Good.
And that comes from years and years of being in the Capitol year after year, week after week during session. Now, we deal with a lot of red states in this region, and you are our blue state in this region. Now, there's a couple states that are a little purplish or have been purple. I helped support the state of Michigan for a year or two when I was working under Dave, and it's a challenge, but they're looking at finding Dem sponsors. They're working with across the aisle and working together. So you're going to hear stories tonight about relationships with red states. That doesn't mean that we don't have the opposition. You've been learning about the opposition with the apologetics class and training that we have. But Kansas's victory, aside from the court hearing, which came years ago, Dave Schneider worked with Mike Ferris back in the beginning days, like probably 8 years ago. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check. But he started working with Ferris on the opportunity to bring this lawsuit and get this going. And the only reason they could do this lawsuit is because the leadership, there's 4 leaders. What is it? Senate president and the vice, and then chair of Senate president, and then the House Speaker, and then the one under him, because those four people are really good friends with Dave Schneider. Now, just because he became a regional director doesn't mean that you can't become good friends with, leadership. And Laura's been watching it and observing it, being part of national as well. And what we're noticing in just our states that we're observing is when you've got leadership on your side and the majority of your legislators, that's where the power. It's like playing pinochle. I was playing pinochle with my aunt before I got on the call tonight. And when you got the power hand, you've got the ace, double ace 10, and maybe a marriage, you've got the power. And so when you've got leadership and a lot of legislators as friends, you've gone, to coffee, you've had beer with them, you've had, you go to their kids' basketball games, whatever it is, you've got a connection. And it doesn't happen this year. It may not happen next year. All of a sudden, you've got to help them through an election. And you've got to help another one through an election. And you've got to, gather a few of your friends and help another one through an election. And all of a sudden, you draw the double pinochle. Anybody play pinochle in this room that I'm looking at? You draw something that sets the winning match, and you just win everything, and you lose maybe a few points at the end, but that's it. That's kind of what this is about, and it's all about spending the years and the months and the days and the hours of being with those legislators. And I know we beat it to death. We talk about relationships. But if we're going to, be truthful and look at it, that's where the history comes from. So you're going to see, some fast movement and some easy votes, but know that those votes that are coming, and I'm going to tell a secret, those votes are coming this week. I can tell you the date and the time, but I'm going to keep that under my hat. But you're going to see them come this week, and you're going to see them come fast, and you're going to see them, and keep praying, because I'm not going to try to jinx it. But you're going to see them come fast and victorious. And that did not happen just this past month. This came from 11 years of beating the pavement and spending days and weeks at fairs and fairs and fairs and more fairs and gathering petitions and being in front of those legislators and being in front of elections. And then, of course, it's happening again in South Dakota. Now we've got some work to do in the House, and I claimed a victory last year, and we claimed it a little bit too soon, but we still have leadership and all of the two kill committees. We have been assigned to the State House Affairs, Senate State Affairs, and House State Affairs for the past 11 years, and for the past, aside from last year, for the past 5 or 6 years, they've been the kill committee. We walk in, you guys have a kill committee. South Dakota was that way. What you're seeing right now, again, is the fruit. But for the past 6-7 years, it's been a kill committee. And we just kind of grudgingly go in, do your duty, drag your feet out because you know you're going to die, and you do, and you drive yourself to the Capitol and you die, and you come out and you're okay. And now we're seeing the fruit. But I want to remind everybody that it takes years of building relationship with legislators. And I know some of you have been at this for 2, 3, 5, 8 years, and it's grueling. It truly is. But we gave up a lot of our country over the past 50, 60 years. You're seeing it. By raising our families and working. And the longer we stay in the fight, whether it's COS or running for office, the better we're going to get, the faster we're going to get this country back. So with that, I want to encourage you to stay in the fight. If you have to take a break, I always tell my leaders, but I'm always reminding you too. I mean, right now we're gearing up for sessions, and I know you're going to get busier, and I know it just keeps getting busy in the summer, but remember to take those times away. and be quiet still. You guys have the best of all the worlds. Get out and take a hike. Get up in the mountains. Go wander around for a while, but make sure somebody knows where you're at so you don't get lost. But Laura, you have a story I told about Kansas and South Dakota. Would you tell us about your neighbor, Colorado's neighbor to the north?
Yeah, I think probably everyone in this call has met Julie Baker, the state director from Wyoming. She's been to our rally multiple times. And she was telling us a story about, I think it was the Senate president, could be wrong, it could be the Speaker of the House. But anyhow,
Senate.
that person is a avid non-COS supporter. He does not like COS. But she has built a relationship with him. She's constantly going in and talking with him and pushing COS and just building that relationship. And I think it was just last year, he told her, you know, go ahead and you pick the committee that you want this introduced into. Because again, there are kill committees. But they gave her the privilege, the honor of picking a friendly committee just because of the relationship that she had built. And they have huge difference over convention of states, but they have common area that they do get along with. And it was just a gift, a favor on her that we could do that. So those relationships are vitally important. You know, we want to try to see not the person as an enemy, but you know, try to bring them to our side. And you do that, people buy from people they like. So we just want to be likable, and we are selling, and we want them to be buying from us. So that's Julie's story.
And it's great to win people to our side. There are people we're not going to win to our side. I mean, there are people that are heavy to the right and heavy to the left. And we just have to get involved in their election. And one of the things Frank asked us to share is challenges you've faced and lessons learned along the way. The person that was kind of the second in line, I would say, he was the kind of the ringleader for the western part of South Dakota, where I was from. And he was my arch nemesis. And he hated COS. I don't know if it was because I wrote something not directly mentioning his name in the newspaper, but a letter to the editor, but he wasn't thrilled. And I think it just kind of embedded that. But he hated Dave Schneider, and it was just quite a mess. But COS got involved in elections, and we got on the ground and knocked on doors, and we campaigned for the other side. And we supported friends that ran against him, and constantly. And it was funny because it wasn't until we moved away that someone else ran against him. And I didn't get all the details because, you know, I helped 7 states instead of just 1. But this guy won against my arch nemesis. And I whooped and hollered and tears shed when I saw the victory during the Trump election. I was like, I didn't care if Trump won or lost. I was excited that this guy was out. and the ringleader on the eastern side of the state lost his seat as well. And there was a couple other dominoes that fell. And I consider it completely God's favor. And, you know, this is great timing. We've got to stay humble and not get a little too caught up in our ego, which I catch myself on that as well. So that's one of the lessons I've learned is making sure I stay confident and poised and positive, but yet humble, knowing I've got to wait for God's timing. And that's one thing in South Dakota is for those of you who have met and know, Shirley Meyer this is her 11th session. She has gone in and walked the halls and shaken hands, and she is the face of COS. So how many of you can say that you've walked the halls in that Capitol week after week, day after day, year after year, and they know that you are the face of Convention of States? But don't make yourself don't make COS the only thing that they know you for. Come alongside them. If this is a year where it's going to be a struggle getting a sponsor, don't look at that as a loss. Look at that as a massive step, a victory step, because this is your opportunity to come alongside those legislators and ask them where you can come testify for them for bills that you stand side by side in. And if they split the party, go with what your faith and your ethics, and get beside them in these efforts. So don't make it all about COS, especially if we're struggling on filing or anything. Take the time and get in the Capitol, and or find the testimonies online. They make it so easy that we can testify online and remotely now, and get behind your legislators and make sure they know who you are, what your name is, what your face is, and that you are a Convention of States volunteer, and you want to help them bring testimony, and other people to bring testimony as well. What else can we cover for you, Frank?
I tell you what, would you two share your perspective and thoughts on how important it is to be a district captain and what that can create?
Certainly. Laura, do you want to kick it off?
I can start. I would say the district captain is the absolute most important position at Convention of States. They are the ones who are really, it's hard for State Director Frank to be all over the state building the grassroots team, but the grassroots team is vital. I mean that's what our power is at Convention of States. It's having a grassroots army that's ready to be activated and actually engage in something. The district captain, it sounds like I know when I first joined on, Joe, oh, Carla, what was Joe's last name? Can't remember. Who's my regional captain? And I read that manual and said, I can't do this, Joe. I don't want to do this. It's too much. Forget it. And so kudos for the leadership team for putting the 2-page together for the district captain, because it really is baby steps and what you need to do. But building a small, because really a district captain is a state director in a tiny little section. Building those relationships, those face-to-face relationships, are the absolute most important thing in Convention of States. It's being a family, and it's hard to do like this. I mean, it's just hard. It's so much better to be able to just meet in your district for coffee with a few people and making those phone calls and trying to get to know people. And maybe it's not even about Convention of States at first. It's about just getting to know them. But growing your district captain base is the thing that's going to take the team over the finish line, because they're going to have impact with all the legislators. They're going to be their own little army in their district to take care of their district at every level, at city council level, at county commissioner level, at library board level. I mean, there's so many things Convention of States can do, whether we're doing it as Convention of States or as private citizens. So yeah, I think that position is the most important position on the whole team.
I wanted to speak up if you can hear me.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I am, up here in Beaver Creek. Had a great day skiing today, and there's no snow, but there's snow where you need it. What Laura has said is so important. We need to have district captains who are effective in what they are doing, recruiting our petition signers and our volunteers to do what they have been empowered to do. It's unlikely that we're going to have success in the state of Colorado within the next year. We're going to wait for the midterm elections, and hopefully we will have a better minority of Republicans who support Convention of States. But at this time, our best push for the legislature is a 34 ready program. Get the state of Colorado ready for the ratification, for the acceptance of the applications from 34 states. If they're not in those 34 states, they're going to be left out. I want to thank all of you for everything you do. You are absolutely wonderful volunteers. I hope I could step up and become a more significant player in this convention of states in Colorado.
I'll just add a couple other things to both Laura and Jim's comments, and that is you all, or a lot of you, I should say, have military background. That's why you've got such an amazing veterans group in Colorado. And if I remember right, back when we were in Nebraska, there's a magic of 5. You're only usually given, overseeing a group of 5, because that's usually how much your brain can handle. But if I remember that, is that right? Give me a thumbs up if I'm kind of on track. Is the 5? And not that district captains are limited to 5, but as a state director, Frank can't oversee hundreds and hundreds of petition signers without help. Carla can't organize groups of different things, or your event coordinator can't organize dozens and dozens of things. But when there's more people to take apart smaller portions, and then everybody reports to who needs to get the information to the right person, that's what's really imperative, is to break it down so it's more bite-sized instead of an elephant. And then the other thing I heard today, it was a good reminder, because I've had it in my notes for a long time, is remember the ABCs. Always be communicating. And it was brought up on today's call. It's always be calling. So it's about developing those relationships, is making a phone call, getting together for coffee, and being in your corner, your district, to be able to be drivable to those people that really need to gather in person. I love being able to, zoom in from Texas and Florida into Colorado when we're not able to be there in person. But it is that, you guys know that there is such a deeper connection when you're able to get together.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank both of you for taking the time to share those perspectives. And it's a marathon. We're not sprinting here. But I'll open it up. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts on what they've heard so far, or need some clarification? Nope. Everybody's looking good and silent. That's a good thing.
And I do have a couple of updates from a couple of states that we just heard about today, but go ahead, Carla.
Yeah, Carla.
Oh, I just had a question, but I'd really rather listen to your update, Deanna.
What's your question? Maybe we can do it together.
Well, I just, Colorado is so corrupt with our elections. And, I just want to clarify. We can wear COS gear when we go to a town hall meeting, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we can do that. We can't wear it when we're trying to campaign or block walk for a candidate.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Anyway, it's okay. It's all right.
But that doesn't mean you can't stop talking about what you're passionate about at the door. That's what I'm saying. So, and most people don't know what it means, and when you're wearing it anyway. So you have to just describe it.
You don't want me to wear it when I answer the door? Is that right?
When you're block walking, when you're helping a candidate, you don't want to be wearing it.
But you can wear it when you're block walking for COS.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. For sure. It's just keeping everything legal so that the system that we're fighting against doesn't shut us down. That's the big thing with legal. So Anything else for questions? And I'll bring you a little up to date on just a couple of nuggets from a few states.
I think
All
they're
right.
ready to hear the nuggets.
All right, there you go. We already talked about Kansas and South Dakota. I know Mark mentioned Idaho and Iowa as potential. They're kind of on our radar, a higher port of our radar. I've worked with the Idaho team. I see where Iowa's at. It's kind of the top of the radar, but there's still opposition. There's still a lot of legislators to move in those two states. I like to keep my positivity up. There's a lot of opposition. There's a lot of JBS in those states. So be praying for those states, and that favor would be found in legislators, that the grassroots would continue to knock on the doors and get in front of those legislators. North Carolina has always been a battle since I've been around. Has always been a battle. I believe it's with Senate leadership. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They've got a very strong and active grassroots, and they're always in the Capitol and always, ready to jump and go and prep. And a lot of heavy strategy happens in North Carolina, but they're just stuck with that person that's at the head. And what they say, cut the head off the snake. So I think we just, another election we just got to be part of, and bring the dominoes down. Ohio is on the top. They are, I believe, a year-round session, and I think they have a 2-year session that's continual. And so they're just a matter of timing, but they're almost there. They're really Patty and Mark went into Ohio a couple weeks back, and one of the, I can't remember if it was the donor or a couple of the legislators, but anyway, there's some movement that they found. They were able to move some votes, and one of the folks they were talking to was saying, "We're going to make Ohio number 20. We're going to be number 20. We're going to be number 20." And both Patty and Mark said, "Sorry, you can't be. You're going to have to be 21 because we've already got the vote set. We don't have any committees to climb through in Kansas." So, but Ohio is pretty positive there. There's heavy grassroots in that state as well. A couple of other nuggets, not necessarily top of the passing, but Delaware had a hearing and a vote last Tuesday on SCR 114. We fell four votes short of passing out of the Senate, and the Delaware team did garner one Democrat vote this time around. And we look at it as a loss, but it's a huge victory in Delaware, and that we got through committee and got a vote and got that close. And then a couple other things. Hawaii and Oregon are doing a 6-week surge. They're doing weekly visits in the legislature. Now, you guys probably, do that as your legislative team. You probably are in there almost daily, but they're making it an actual 6-week surge. And then Maine and Missouri filed their 34 ready, and their committee hearing is coming up as well. So just a couple of little things. I'm sure there's probably other states that have filed 34 ready, but those are the ones that dinged in my mind when I was listening for the updates today. So hopefully that brings you a lot. I've talked a lot. My voice is already dry, and I don't have water next to me. So it must be time to shut up and let you guys go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for all that information. Michael, you want to jump in for John real quick?
Well, on the legislative landscape, yeah, so he sent out a note the other day talking about upcoming elections for the House of Representatives, of 65 representatives, broken down by incumbent, and who are some of the prospective challengers in some of those districts. And so we're going to take that a step further in the analysis on which districts should be targeted, for support, I guess, in certain ways. Now, he's doing some of this in his other work outside Convention of States, so it's not purely a Convention of States effort. So I don't know more than what I just said. I haven't been involved in the analysis as much because I've been trying to focus on some of the other priorities we have for the LL team. I can update you on that if you want, for the group.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so for those who don't know, since the beginning of the year, I've been in touch with the minority legislative, well, not the minority team in the House. Mr. Carson Capps is the policy director under Jarvis Caldwell, who's the minority leader in the House. He expressed to me on January 8th that there were 2 legislators in the House team that had an interest in the 34 ready legislation. He's had an individual meeting with each one of them. He couldn't tell me which ones were interested in it because they haven't expressed an official desire to sponsor the legislation. Now, here is where I want to tell people is that according to the deadline schedule for the Colorado General Assembly, tomorrow is the deadline for all remaining draft bills that any legislature is supposed to have to give to the Legislative Legal Services to help them draft a formal bill. So right now, I don't know if we're going to have a sponsor or not. There hasn't been a flat out no, but it's encouraging that 2 of them had expressed an interest. And Carson Capps couldn't tell me who those people are. I hope tomorrow, with it being the deadline, I find out something. I sent him a text today, seeing if he had any updates, and I asked him last week if there were any updates, and he didn't have anything yet. But it wasn't a flat out no. So I hope tomorrow I can share some good news with the team if we have a sponsor. Okay, so somewhat encouraging there. So I'll let you know more tomorrow. Hopefully, if I read the deadline schedule correctly, tomorrow is the deadline, and I confirmed this with Carson last week. So I don't think I'm off my rocker here. Decision has to be made by the legislators tomorrow or not if they're going to sponsor it, because they only have 5 bills they're allowed to have. 3 were due on December 1st. The other 2 remaining are due tomorrow. So that's how I read that. So more to follow on that. Another thing that I'd like to share with everybody, in case you didn't know, tomorrow I am going to be the guest speaker for the Colorado meeting for the Association of Mature American Citizens, the AMAC group here in Colorado. I did a rehearsal with them, with the state leadership on Thursday. And as of Thursday, there were 136 people registered for the meeting tomorrow. I sent that registration link out to some of the folks here on our state team. I think some of you have registered. I would imagine it's probably going to be 150 by the time it's all said and done, maybe a little more. Russ Cotton was the person that asked for me to be a part of this, and I was invited to be on their meeting. So they're going to give me 45 minutes tomorrow to actually share an Article 5 overview here in Colorado. So it's a Colorado audience here. So I will provide maybe 15, 20 minutes of an overview and then allow about 25 minutes for questions. That's how it's going to work tomorrow. So it's a great engagement opportunity with another like organization that has some of our same values, especially on fiscal responsibility, is one of their major platform issues. So I think tomorrow will be a great opportunity to educate and then just have other people understand what we're trying to do. If there are challenging questions for people, I hope to answer all of them very completely as much as I can. If not, then follow up with them afterwards. But that's going to be a good relationship building opportunity tomorrow. Then on Thursday this week, I have a second engagement where I'll be presenting an Article 5 overview to the El Paso County GOP team here in Colorado Springs at their lunch and learn. So that's an in-person presentation. I think about 40 to 50 or 30 to 40 people will be at that lunch and learn. It's right here in town, and I'm taking some time from my work to do this. But another great opportunity where I have about 45 minutes to present an Article 5 overview. From what I understand, one of the Republican candidates for governor is going to be there. And some other candidates for state legislature is going to be there, from what Russ Cotton told me. So, again, another opportunity to plant some seeds, build some relationships with some leaders here in the area of Colorado. Now, that just happens that both of them are going on this week. So this is a busy week for me. So if we find out tomorrow about the sponsor for the legislation and those 2 overview presentations, I'll be, I think, glad when Friday comes so I can take a break. But I will let everybody know how those sessions turn out. But hopefully those sessions will lead to other engagements later on where we can speak at other opportunities with other groups to share and educate on an Article 5 convention. And if we really get a sponsor for legislation, then I'll communicate more about how I think we might attack that later on during this legislative session. So those are my updates. Those are my priorities of work I have right now. I'll entertain any questions if anybody has.
So it looks like Carla has her hand up.
Oh,
Michael, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the effort. I know it's demanding and sacrificial. So thank you so much for doing this and for being there at the Capitol with your influence. And of course, with these organizations that hopefully will support Convention of States. I did have a question, quick question. Do you know which party the two legislators that are showing interest in sponsorship?
Oh,
Yeah.
they're both part of the Republican minority team in the House.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, just so you understand how we did this, back in December, early December, myself, Frank, and Jim went to the Capitol, talked to Jarvis's lead team there. He couldn't make it himself. He was too busy. He couldn't sponsor because he's the minority team leader, but he did tell his team that Convention of the States is something he strongly supports. He gave us accolades of praise to his policy director before we met. And so that was actually a good stage setter. So when we talked with them in the Capitol that day, they offered up to help us try to find a sponsor with one of the other Republican minority team members. So they advertised it. And I was glad this happened because it's hard to go to every individual legislature to try and ask them, would you sponsor something like this? Which I did with a couple of legislatures individually. And I was hit pretty hard with a setback when Rosebud Leach resigned because I had a really strong relationship with her as a minority team leader. And I had a meeting set with her in the middle of September, but then she resigned before I could have that meeting. Mm-hmm. So I had to recock and reset my approach. And I had to say, well, who's the new minority leader? When I found out it was Jarvis Caldwell, I knew that would be good because he and I have had some really good communication. He's a big supporter of it. He just can't sponsor himself just because of all the other legislative priorities he has. So when we talk to his team, though, his front office team, they can make recommendations like his policy director, Carson Kapp, said, I can take this to our legislative team here and he can socialize it and we can try and find you a sponsor. And I took that invitation to say, wonderful, thank you, because he can talk with them more readily than I can because he's in that position where he can communicate officially to them. He just can't tell me the names of the people that are considering it. He said it's still kind of confidential right now. So, but I took it as a positive thing because at least the one thing that will come out of this, at a bare minimum, is that the minority team has been educated on. Just like we educated the governor's staff back in September, the governor of the state is educated on Article 5 convention. He's going to term out next year, and that's fine. You see, even that's good because he has to sign it into law, and he said he was open-minded to it based on my engagements with his front office staff. And so we've been circulating and educating some folks here in the Capitol in different ways. This is a tough state for that to happen, but we've made some small victories. We just need to kind of continue to build on that. So whatever happens, if we have a sponsor for this legislation, hopefully find out something tomorrow, we'll step a way forward one way or the other. I really hope we get a sponsor for it because our goal is to educate legislatures in the Capitol, and this is going to be a mechanism for us to do that further, even if it doesn't pass.
It's exactly what Deanna said. We're tilling the soil right now.
Yeah. So
but I tell you what, I see John. He might do a cameo for us.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you again. I really want to commend Michael before I tell you briefly what I'm about right now. Michael is very strategically positioned down there. El Paso County, I don't know if everybody knows this, but it is the most populous county in Colorado. It has the most number of Republicans as a result. And isn't it interesting? The last two minority leaders have come from down in that area, the Colorado Springs Pueblo area, and Michael has been very, very well positioned with both of them. So his positioning with the minority caucus in the House is not by mistake. It was 3 solid years of work, and so it turns out I'm going to go down and listen to Michael present. After some very, very difficult years, the El Paso GOP finally got its act together, and it's probably one of the better, if not the best organized GOP group in the state. And that's saying something because the state GOP is in complete disarray. So Michael is very well positioned. I'm really going to enjoy being there. And I told him, I promised I wouldn't say anything. I'm just going to give him silent support, silent moral support down there on Thursday. And tomorrow night, I'm going to be on that AMAC Zoom as well. So looking forward. For all of you, one of the things that I'm working on really hard, I started this Friday. I did not get it done by today, but I'll have it done no later than Wednesday early, is a complete update of the legislative landscape. And I'm focusing on the 65 House races, who's running, who's not, who's termed out, who's running for other stuff. I'm a little over halfway done. It's taken me a lot longer because there's so damn much going on in the House. The puts and takes this year, and I've been doing this for 5 years, I think you all know. It's more than I've seen in a long time. There's a great number of Democrats who are termed out. Oftentimes, that's a great opportunity, but there are a lot of people jumping in. So I'm going to get that done by Wednesday. I want to get it out to all of you. It's a fairly simple, straightforward spreadsheet. What is striking is what is not on it. And that is, there's a lot of white space, open boxes where we don't have a Republican challenger. Or the thing that really struck me was the absolute absence of third-party candidates, because the history in Colorado has been just under half of all of the House races has always had a third-party candidate, and they just ain't there this year. And maybe they're going to come out of the woodwork in the last 3-4 weeks here. I think that's what they have left before they have to declare. But I'm going to get that out to you all, and I want you to jump in your districts. And if you've got any local knowledge of what's going on, what is the local line on the House race, this will be your chance to add to that piece of work and complete it so we know exactly what we're facing this year. There are those in the Republican Party who say, hey, there's 10 to 12, maybe as many as 15 seats that are flippable. I personally don't believe that. I think at most it's going to be 7 or 8, but they need 12 in order to flip the House. If they got 6 to 8 this November, that's going to be a tremendous movement in the right direction. So I'll get it out to you. And again, you can all respond to me directly. I'm really curious to see how this thing completes by March 1st. Questions or comments?
I have a question. Michael, where is that luncheon tomorrow in Colorado Springs?
Okay, so Sharon, the AMAC presentation is tomorrow at 6 p.m. online.
Oh,
think-
yeah, the
I think-
AMAC. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you have that link. I think I sent that
Yeah,
link out.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean the AMAC. I meant the GOP luncheon in Colorado Springs. Where is that being held?
So it's going to be on Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay. Now,
Do you know where?
yeah, I do. It's online. The address is something you have to register for because they use it as a fundraiser. It's a $30 ticket.
Okay.
I can send you the link. And it has my name on their flyer and has the address and location. It's going to be
Okay.
from 11 until 1 p.m.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're selling any more tickets now. but I can certainly send you the link. So
Okay.
um, I don't know how they advertise it, outside the El Paso County area, but let me send you the link to it and you can see if you can buy a ticket. If they let you buy a ticket, then you can come, I imagine. That's how I did it the first time when I went to the one in October. I just bought a ticket and I showed up and I was all right.
Okay.
But if you don't
thank
have
you,
a
Milton.
ticket, I'm not sure they'll let you in. I mean, I just don't know
Okay.
how that works. So, but I'll send it to you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, guys. With the last couple of minutes we've got here, I wanted to recognize Mike Doohan. I see him in my screen here. Why don't you unmute yourself, Mike? The Mike is a DC in training. He's actually going to join the DC team, and he's working on doing his training and that type of stuff. I just want you to introduce yourself, Mike. You're still muted. So while he's trying to figure out how to unmute himself, I'll tell you a little story. So he signed the petition last year, and uh, he's in my district as a district captain, and so I processed his petition and stuff, and he'd also checked the volunteer box, and this was down when we were doing the Colorado Fair, and somehow he got one of the invitations to sign up for the booth, to be a participant, and he saw my name on there, and he went, well, I'm just going to go down and man the booth. And the first time I personally met him was down there in Pueblo, and Art was there with us, and Mike spent about an hour just kind of watching Art and Lynn's shtick, and within an hour he was out there, telling people how they should get involved and sign the petition. So it was a wonderful thing to see, and that he's actually jumping into the deep end of the pool and is going to become a district captain. So that's awesome. The I don't think he knows how to turn on his mic.
At the very bottom of the screen.
We'll get him on here next time, and he can introduce himself. But it is 8 o'clock. I want to thank you all for taking an hour of your time and listening to all those updates. And this news with Michael and two legislators, thinking about taking up the 34 ready legislation is absolutely awesome. That's a win. Okay. Think of that is an absolute win. And we are continuing to educate those folks that are out there under the Golden Dome. And we'll just continue to do that. All right. So thank you all for showing up.